How you doing? Blessings.
Hi, good to see you again.
Likewise. How you feeling?
I'm feeling a little cold. It's we don't have the California weather in
Oh
Toronto right now.
man, that is not no good news. I think I gotta cancel the trip.
You gotta bring your Canada Goose. That's what you gotta do.
All right, all right. So I'm on my way out there. Besides the weather, you know what I mean, which we're gonna try to change it when we get out there. What can we look forward to in your portion of the conversation as far as some of the knowledge that you'll be sharing with the people?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the audiences that we share are really looking for, getting themselves to that next level. Obviously, you're there to elevate mindset, and I'm really here to elevate their financial
Mm.
mindset. And I know that I was watching something you posted the other day talking about, how it's almost like we're in a situation where a lot of people feel like when you've got money, you're almost like selling out.
Mhm.
You're almost like, there's the evil rich person, but the poor person is the one who's like good and has morals and stuff like that. And it's just like I battle a lot with some of the people in my network that are kind of seeing me, elevate financially. And they're like, well, like kind of like what about us type of vibe because their mindset's not there to start making the moves that can get them money. And I feel like they're
Yeah,
almost doing like a self-sabotage, right?
yeah, it's funny because I was reading, not reading something, but listening to something, and I believe the psychologist was talking about, that dilemma that most people have with family and friends. And, when you start elevating, what some people call changing, whatever the hell it is, what happens is that she said that it's almost as if you're killing the person they love,
Mm.
right? Your taste changes, the way you dress changes, the way you talk, your circle, your influences. So the person that they love, right, you're proudly celebrating shedding that person, right, and becoming something greater, right, or more than. And especially if a person is not elevating and or changing with you, right, then it makes them insecure about what they're not doing, right? Because we live in a compare and contrast
Right.
society. It's very hard for people to appreciate what they have because they're constantly reminded of what they don't have,
Yes.
right? And so most of the issues that we have in today's time revolve around our mindset and the anatomy of our thinking, right? Like the way we think about going towards things, the laziness, the procrastination, the insecurities, the fears, the doubt, the shame, the envy, the jealousy. These are frequencies of, the human experience that we haven't properly learned how to regulate in order to get out our own way, in order to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the biggest thing is that, we are our own worst enemy, especially when it comes to that. And it's like, yeah, I'm in a position where, I'm seeing even people in my circle now where we don't have time necessarily. We choose not to spend time with people that aren't kind of going where we're going. And it's hard to accept. A lot of times you have loyalty and you almost feel like you're too loyal, and you
Hmm.
have to really understand who you are and where you want to go, and that's going to involve
Right.
not bringing everyone with you. It's something that's really hard to come to terms with too.
Well, yeah, the ideas around wealth have to really change, right? Because I think we view wealth from a very European capitalist mindset. And traveling allows you to see wealth in different ways, right? I see, I see people with a lot of monetary resources and or assets, but morally and spiritually poor,
Yeah.
right? They are depressed. They have to do a cornucopia of drugs to try to cope with their stress and anxiety and fears and insecurities. They spend so much money to try to transform aspects of their lives so people filter them through that rather than seeing who they really are. And so if we don't have the the conversation about wealth from a holistic perspective, right? Then there's going to be a lot of people gaining that thing that thinks they make them successful while losing themselves at the same time,
Mhm.
right? So it's a lack of integrity that a lot of people don't have. Like there's some men, I don't care how much money you got, you never have as much wealth as I do because it's not a dollar amount in the world that can make you like me. You know what I'm saying? Not from you're not gonna get the same level of respect. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna have the same level of confidence, and you ain't gonna have the same level of balance and abundance within your life, right? Just because they don't know how to be men, right? And same thing with women. Sometimes women don't know how to be a woman. So we try to figure out all of these different things that make the world respect us because they don't really respect who we are. So we gather things on the outside and say, filter me through this, right? And so it's like a lot of that goes on. But even at this show, I really want to have a time where, I really want to like teach. I really want to break it down and insert some ideas that will leave you with formulas, framework, and skill sets. Not just from a mental standpoint, but I know how to build brand. I know how to build business. I know how to build influence, right? I know how to build media. A lot of people can't do that. It's the reason why I have one of the most successful shows in the world, because we really study the science of things, right? And if most people had strategies and they understood the science of how to get that thing done, they wouldn't just be relying on candles and the law of manifestation to try to bring reality in and waiting for the stars to align. That's not that thing. That's cool for setting the environment, starting from a place of standards, but the science of learning how to have a hypothesis, to strategize, to get something done, understanding the psychology around it, the neuroscience, right, the metaphysics, to even the occult, all of that is necessary in today's time. And I believe that if a lot of the lack that we have in today's society is because the teachers do not know how to reach the students and the methods that the children need or the society needs to be taught.
People need the actionable thing, because I mean, a lot of times people, they come to these events and they leave all pumped up, and then they kind of fall back into their habits again, and it's almost like, no, today when you leave here, you got to do X,
Right.
because you light the fire, but you got to keep it lit. And so yeah, I really want to give people a lot of actionable takeaways, and we're making some really great notes here, and we're going to help build people.
Yeah, I mean, it's their responsibility. It's like, if it's one event, then of course it can't be the thing that carries you on for the rest of your life, right? What you do frequently becomes your frequency. So what do you do after you leave, right, will reinforce what happened while you were there. So it's like, for my events, it's not a separate event, it's an attachment to the high level conversations, right? So you sit down there, and you're learning for like 3 hours. Sometimes a person, they spend, I don't know how many hours a week, perhaps consuming the content. In person, sometimes we go there to be invigorated with the spirit, to put action to the things we know, right? So, which is fine. So that's why, you have to invigorate with passion and spirit and heart, so that it gets people wanting to do this and be like, yo, this is not just on my screen. This is in real life.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we feel like we can keep the education on the screen and the consciousness on the screen, on the learning on the screen, while the entertainment is in real life. So the entertainment end up having more influence and impact on your life, right, than the information does, because you're not connecting events, right, and places and your social reality to those goals of yours, right? So yeah, you don't mind. You go get dressed, you go to the club, you go out to the lounge, you go party, you have a good time, you go spend hundreds of dollars, right? And your mentality towards doing that same amount of effort and spending that same money towards building yourself up is just not there. So I'm a sole believer that everybody doesn't deserve it. They don't. I mean, you see what other people deserve because what they work for, and you want that. But that doesn't mean you deserve it, because you're not willful enough, right? Patient, disciplined, or consistent, or you're not willing to put in that investment to be able to create that reality for yourself.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, they want the results, but when they understand the amount of work that went into that result, most
Yeah.
people aren't willing to put it in, right? But I'm certainly hoping to ignite that in people.
Absolutely. It's
and
gonna be
and
good energy.
yeah, and that they see it as a possibility. A lot of times people are like, oh yeah, you did that, but I can't do that. And I'm like, no, but I was where you were 5-10
Right.
years ago. Like, it's completely possible. So
Results are the product of process. So, anytime a person wants results, all you gotta do is ask, what is my process? It's super simple. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have a process, you won't get the results. And so anything you don't have, you have to think about, what is my lack of process? What are the steps I'm not taking, right? And then when you look at what you do have, what are my processes, right? Because I believe that you're successful whether you have or have not. You just don't like the product of your success, right? You don't like the product of your process. If you sit down and you watch TV all day, what does that buy you? Nothing. So if you have nothing, then you're successful because that's your process. So if you change the things that you do, you change the things that you have, you change the way that you live.